Welcome back, everyone. I'm the BadLuckGamer, and today I wanted to do a 2K subscriber special. Now, I'm not going to be doing a bunch of subscriber specials all over the place. I'm mostly just doing this video because I didn't do a 1K subscriber video. I think I did a stream that day, and I wanted to take this opportunity, especially since the channel is starting to grow much faster than it has. I mean, we hit 2K in like 6 months and some change, and it took us 10 months to hit 1K. And I expect that we're going to hit 3K in like 3 months. So we got a lot of people coming to the channel. And so I want to take this opportunity, one, to celebrate the channel and everything that we've done here, and you guys for helping me out. But I also wanted to give the opportunity to learn more about me and what I'm doing with the channel and what brought me here in the first place. So let's start off with why tabletop, right? There's obviously, if you're going to do YouTube, tabletop is not what you probably should aim for, especially because besides Critical Role, there's no other channels that are at 1 million subscribers at this point. And we're probably still quite a ways off from that. I mean, 700K with Mr. Rex is, I think, the current highest. And to get that remaining 300K, I think it's going to be a bit of a push. But the thing is, I think like any other YouTuber, if you're going to make something where you're spending literally thousands of hours talking about it, it might as well be something that you can talk endlessly about. And for me, the only thing I could really think of to talk endlessly about is tabletop. And not only that, but I do also want to improve the tabletop space. I think it needs more people talking about it. I think it needs more types of content about it. Right now, it's just like look at the rules or live play or meme content. And while all that's great, I do just think that there needs to be more. Not like I've done too much more with the channel, but that's my intent once I get enough kind of momentum going behind the channel. And not only that, but to, have some more income to kind of help out with that. Because, life is hard, living is hard, and YouTube doesn't pay the bills. So, you gotta live and do what you gotta do to live outside of that. And I try to put everything I make from YouTube back into YouTube. So when that gets better, the channel will get inherently better as well. So I want to make tabletop better. I want more people to understand how fun it is. I want to make a more immersive experience when it comes to live play. And I just want to change how people look at tabletop in general. It's not just Dungeons and Dragons. There's so much more to it. And well, I mean, I started my channel with Pathfinder, which is I'm arguably just better D&D IMO, and if you like D&D, that's fine. I think it's just 5th edition, only a lot more well written, and that's just my opinion. You can hate me if you want, but anyway. So, and there's other games I'm doing. Obviously, I'm doing Lancer as well, which is another fantastic game, and we are planning on doing Vampire the Masquerade some point later this year. But let's talk about me for a little bit, shall we? So, what kind of tabletop player am I? And what really makes me so motivated to talk endlessly about tabletop? Well, first of all, I've been doing tabletop for a really long time, over 20 years now. And I started really, really young, and I've just been fascinated with it. And not only that, but I've been fascinated with telling the story. I actually love being a GM. And even though I started off as a player, I very quickly transitioned into a DM and DM'd for, the better part of my life now, actually. So, I thoroughly enjoy making narratives, and it's something that I endlessly talked about for the 20 years before. I would talk tabletop theory with my friends. We would talk about the narratives. If you want to see like one of my best works as far as tabletop, check out the Rosencrantz arc here on the channel. While it's not the best as far as live play is concerned, the entire arc was from a city I made top to bottom, lore I implemented in the world. It had a bunch of characters, it had really interesting lore, it really sucked the players in, and it's kind of like my masterpiece as far as being a GM is concerned. So that is just some of the stuff I like. And I haven't made a video on it yet, but I have what I call like the narrative gamer scale, which is how much narrative and how much game do you prefer in your tabletop. And it's more like you just select the many different things that you like about tabletop and narrative play, and then your total score pushes you on one side of the scale or the other. Where I feel like most players kind of fall pretty much like in the middle zone, which is I like TTRPGs, but I tend to lean a little bit more on the narrative side of the scale. I really love game mechanics and I love understanding the games. I mean, obviously, if you've watched any of my videos and you listen to me talk about things, I talk about the very intricate, like how the math works or how something is intended to be used, how it feels, and like mechanical fidelity and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of gaming elements I like, but what I crave in tabletop is the immersive storytelling, the getting your character to feel the way you want them to feel. I like mechanics because I feel like it validates how awesome your character can be. It's not just you telling people how awesome your character is, it's you having mechanical prowess to show them, look, this build I did, which may not be optimal but works really well, and also the play style is really fun. So if I was to place myself on the scale, I think I'd lean kind of in between the middle and narrative, like almost breaching straight into narrative. As a lot of the game elements I like are the elements that really make the game feel better. I mean, I like pocket rules, for instance, because I think having pouches means something, or like what a grimoire's actual function is rather than just a spellcasting medium. I think those are really, really cool, but they're more cool because they validate the role play, you know what I mean? And so I like more advanced role playing games, but that's because it makes each item feel like it's a lot more of your character rather than something like, let's say, D&D, for instance, where things like bulk and weight can feel annoying for your characters. Everyone just gets a bag of holding anyway, and it makes it just easy to carry your stuff. Weapon holsters don't mean anything. It's just what weapons you have on yourself and what magic items you have on yourself. And I'm the kind of person who's like, well, what if I had an interesting weapon holster that did something unique, you know? I like having every small element kind of add to the experience in some way. And one of the reasons why I made the build series, which many of you have watched on the channel, is because I feel like there's fun ways to play the game, and there's ways you can make very narratively interesting characters that also have unique and very interesting gameplay. And I hope that these videos can help you find something that you enjoy when it comes to playing tabletop. And I intend to do this for a lot of games that we look into. Right now in Lancer, I'm doing the how to play, you know, striker, defender, controller, all that kind of stuff to kind of talk about the nuances of each of the roles and kind of how you can mentally get in the space of how your character plays, or how you can observe how these styles of play work and judge whether or not you would enjoy it. So it's just something that I would say my passion is all about making the experience better for my players and other players and GMs out there. I never really had a very self gratification part of being a GM. It's never been like, oh, look at this cool thing I made or anything like that. In fact, I never prep any of my sessions ahead of time. I never, I think about it, sure. I think a little bit about it ahead of time, but I never really write anything up or work anything. I just work really well on improv, and I have really good improv skill. And so when I start a session, it's just about gut instinct and improv, and also the sheer amount of experience I have to watch my players judge what they want for their characters and then bring that forth in the narrative. So my GM style is go with the flow, play towards your players, but also make an experience that pushes them to discover new avenues or even pushes them to get better at the game. Now, I still need to tweak it a little bit. I think my current group, I still am working on getting to the right flow for them. But again, if you check the Rosencrantz arc, it's a group of players that I pretty much perfected the art on. So that's another good example of why you should watch the Rosencrantz arc, which uses Anima Beyond Fantasy, which is a mess of a game and pretty much a whole game that I made work for my players. It was so much effort because I had to pretty much write all the rules for it myself because the rules were just so half baked. Anyway, doesn't really matter. So, why make a tabletop channel in the first place? I thoroughly enjoy talking about this kind of stuff, and honestly, this is the kind of job that I feel like if I could get it to work, I could do a lot of great stuff with. I can make tabletop better. I can improve the space. I can maybe even invest in inventing new peripherals in the future. I think this is the best way to draw a lot of attention and a lot of people to the tabletop to improve the field overall. Tabletop is my life passion. So why would I not choose a career all about talking about it and trying to improve it through, media influence? So, I mean, and that's silly to say at 2K subs. I know. I'm thinking in the future, The channel is growing fast, and it's my goal to get to 5K by the end of this year and hopefully 10K next year at some point, which I'm very confident that we'll get to. And I have some videos planned a little later this week. I have a very good video for people who are making the transition from D&D to Pathfinder on a subject that no one has really brought up yet, or at least not to my attention. YouTube's a big place, and I haven't seen all the videos obviously, but I have a really good video for that. I also have another build video coming out. It was supposed to come out last week, but I got the treasure vault dropped in my lap on like Tuesday morning, and so I had to drop everything and get myself readjusted to drop those new archetypes. And also I'm planning on doing some like item tier lists and item aid videos in the future on the channel as well when treasure vault officially drops. So I've just been really, really, really busy, and I have the script written up for it. It's the thrower build for a rogue, and I think I have a very good throwing build that should allow you to enjoy the most out of throwing without necessarily telling you, well, we'll just use a ranged weapon, because ranged weapons work better than throwing weapons for range damage anyway. There's a good way that throwing weapons can kind of work in the mix. But beyond all that, this video is to let you guys know who I am, where I'm going, what I'm doing, to thank you all for being here. And if you have any questions about, what I like in tabletop, or what I, just anything really, I ask them down below in the comments, and I'll get to them whenever I can. I do my best to try to, interact on the comments. You can also join our Discord linked in the description, where, I try my best to participate. For people who are on Discord and message me directly, I don't have the time to necessarily get to y'all. I sometimes will notice a message, and if it's something that's really easy for me to say, like, oh, hey, thanks for watching the videos, I'll do that. But if you ask me anything a little bit more in-depth than that, I don't really have the time to, like, in-depth talk to people about tabletop. You can go to our official Discord and talk with our various people there, or you can try to catch me on Table Talk, where, I sit down and chat with y'all for 2 hours, and that's a good place where I can answer a lot of questions there. So beyond all that, ask away. I'm more than happy to share whatever it is. I'll end this video off with some of my favorite tabletops that I've played, and some of the tabletops that shaped me over the course of my journey through tabletop. The first tabletop that I actually ever really got into, and it was as a player, was Deadlands. The original Deadlands, not the Savage Worlds Deadlands. It's a really fun game. It's a really hard game. It's very, well, vicious. Characters die a lot in that game, and I thoroughly enjoy the experience. The next big game after Deadlands I got into was actually Scion, which is a White Wolf game that maybe not a lot of people have heard about. You play the child of various gods from different pantheons around the world, and you get artifacts that kind of allow you to channel your magical god powers through. And it's a really, really fun one. We played a lot of Scion back in the day. And then after Scion, I tried a little bit of D&D 4E. Wasn't for me, so I ended up transitioning instead to Anima Beyond Fantasy. And Anima just gave so much. There are so many tools, so many good aesthetics. The lore is super interesting. The art is just chef's kiss amazing. There's so much that makes Anima really great. It just sucks that the system itself is terrible. There's so many holes in it. You have to make up a lot of the rules as the GM, and player scaling can just be so outrageous that if your party's not all on the same wavelength, you're gonna have gods and Farmer Joe in the same party, and it's gonna feel like that. Farmer Joe ain't gonna do nothing, and the god players are gonna destroy everything, and you can't balance an encounter that challenges everyone equally. It's just impossible. So Animal Beyond Fantasy was the game I played probably the most, even now, and it really shaped me as a GM. It made me work really hard to make the games interesting. And now I have a bunch of people who think Animal Beyond Fantasy is the greatest game ever, when it was my Animal Beyond Fantasy that made it the greatest game ever. And now I don't want to go through all the effort to run the game anymore, because Pathfinder 2E has a really good amount of depth, and it's well written, and as a GM I just appreciate it so much. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching these videos and for subscribing to the channel. We couldn't be here without any of that. And, well, I really mean it when I say good luck with your games and leave the bad luck to me. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.